right okay guys තා මාසයයි අපිට challenge එක ඇදගෙන යන්න තියෙන්නේ හරි ඔය කට්ටිය අඩු එකෙක් ඕපන් කරමු බලන්න කැමරාස් ටික කට්ටියගේ මූණ වල ටික බලා ගන්න අපේ මේ කොන්වර්සේෂන් එකට කලින් අඩුම ගානේ පාරදී දැක්කොත් මුන් ටික දැක දැක යන ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ නැහැනේ පුළුවන් කට්ටිය ඕපන් කරන්න බලන්න කැමරාස් ටික you wanna see my small one so shall we switch on camera so බලමු කට්ටියගේ මූණ වල ටික දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා මෙතන ලැජ්ජ බය ඇතුව හැදිච්චලා ඔය ඉන්නේ ඉරන්ත මෙන්න හැමදාම කතා කරන ඉරන්ත ඉන්නවා රයිට් ඔන්න අල්ලගනින්න හරි කොන්වර්සේෂන් ආපු දවසට ඔන්න අල්ල ගන්න ඕන චරිතයක් කවුද මේ රුමේෂ් අනිත් එක්කෙනා ඔය ඉන්නේ රයිට් නියමයි තා කවුද කෝ සෙට් එක කෝ සේල්ස් සෙට් එක සේල්ස් මැනේජර්ස්ලා සෙට් එක වේ ඉන්නේ රසික රයිට් නියමයි තව කෝ hi guys good good නියමයි සමහරවල්ලාට පාරෙත් දැකලා මේව කරගෙන යනවා දන්නෙත් නැහැ රයිට් මූණවල දන්නේ නැහනේ රයිට් කෝ අනිත් කට්ටිය කෝ ගයිස් කෝ යාරා යාල කෝ තාම තුන් දෙනයි අය බලමු ටක් ගාලා විනාඩි දෙකක් තුනක් අරගෙන තාම මූණු දෙකක් තුනක්වත් පේනවාද කියලා ඉවරලා මෙතන රයිට් cool අංජන රයිට් ඔය ඉන්නේ නෑ අංජන රයිට් නියමයි සුපර් කෝ අනිත් කට්ටිය so guys you guys are into sales show your faces come on නැද්ද ඊළඟ මූණවල් පෙන්න නැත්නම් රසික වැඩක් තියෙනවද නේ සේල්ස් කරන්න බෑනේ මූණ දෙන්න බැරි විදියට පත් වෙලා නම් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ right
මේකප් එක දාගෙන
ඕකේ එහෙමත් සිද්ධියක් තියෙනවානේ මටත් ඒක එකපාරටම අමතකුණා මටත් ඒක අමතකුණා අංජන කොහෙද වර්ක් කරන්නේ
සර් මම මේ
අන්ඩර්ග්‍රැජුවේට් යකෝ තාත්තලා 10 දෙනෙක් විතර වයස පේන මොන අන්ඩර්ග්‍රැජුවේට්
නේද ඕපන් යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ මම මේ අන්ඩර්ග්‍රැජුවේට් කෙනෙක්
ඕකේ good මොකද කරන ඩිග්‍රී එක
මාකටිං සර් මාකටිං මැනේජ්මන්ට් කරන්නේ සර්
good scene රුමේෂ් කොහෙද රුමේෂ්
ස්ටේෂන් සර්
ස්ටේෂන්ස් මට මතකෙ ඉන්නේ නැහැ ඔය නම් වලින් මේ මතකෙ ඉන්නේ කම්පැනි එක නම් මතකෙ ඉන්නවා නම් වලින් මතකෙ ඉන්නේ නැහැ කෝ අනිත් සෙට් එක අපේ කෝ මේ මෙතන ඉන්නවා කෝ අංජන ඉන්නවා ඕකේ කෝ මధుභාෂිනී අංජන සචින්ත්‍ය හිරන්ත ඉන්නවා මෙතන සමහර නම් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා ටෙලිෆෝන් නම්බර්ස් විතරක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා නම්බර්ස් ටික විතරක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවානේ කෝ මේ කට්ටිය කෝ ප්‍රනීත් කොහෙද ඉන්නේ ජර්මනි කවුද මේ පල්ලෙහාට යන කසුන් oh guys go
I'm sorry sir so I can switch on the camera but I'm on the way still I'm driving
හරි
ඔය මේකනේ අතිපස ඒක නිසා පොඩ්ඩක් පරක් වුණා
no worries අපි පොඩ්ඩක් නිකන් මේ මූණ වල ටික බලා ගන්න බැලුවේ නැත්තම් අපි දකින්නෙත් නැහැනේ කට්ටිය දැන් මේ මාස 4ක්ම ගියා 4ක් කියලා කියන 5කටත් 5 යන්නේ මේ අන්තිම මාස එකමාර වගේ යන්නේ අන්තිම ඇත්තට මාස එකමාර මේ ස්පීඩ් කරලා වීක් ඩේස් දාලා ඉවර කරන්න අපේ ටාගට් එක තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ ජූලයි 1st වීක් වෙනකොට ඉවර කරන්න ඇඩිෂනල් ක්ලාසස් සීරීස් එකක් එයි මේ මන්ත් එකේ. මේ ඉන්නේ ජෙරොම් අනිත් එක්කෙනා. ඔය කතා කරන සෙට් එක කෝ අනිත් කට්ටිය කෝ අනිත් කට්ටිය කෝ මේ මෙතන ඉන්න ඉෂාර කෝ මේ ෂෙහාන් මේ පේන නම් ටික විතරයි මට මේ පේනේම ටික කියන්නේ right okay ප්‍රදීප් ඔය ඉන්නේ good තව කවුද නිලන්ත right good super ප්‍රදීප් කොහෙද work කරන්නේ right Clarence great ඔය තියන්නේ
So the power cut.
power cut. O level ඉවරයිනේ. Oh my goodness. O level ඉවරයිනේ නේද? Okay. Right. එතන තමයි කේස් එක තියෙන්නේ. O level ඉවර වෙච්ච ගමන් ලයිට් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට සමහරලාට ඊයේ තමයි ඒ කියන්නේ ලයිට් තියෙන තිබ්බ එකම නයිට් එක නේ. අයියෝ. මටත් ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් මතක් වුණේ නැහැ. ක්ලරන්ස් කොහෙද work කරන්නේ?
UT sir.
UT.
Yeah.
Okay. Michelle left ne?
Yeah,
Michelle left.
just left
Michelle
yesterday.
Right. Bishara. Right. Super. Bishara කොහෙද? work කරන්නේ?
සමා IT කම්පැනි එකට වැඩ ගන්න සර් ඉනෝඩේටා කියලා මම කිව්වේ.
Innodata. Okay, good. Super. Pradeep කොහෙද work කරනවා කිව්වේ ප්‍රදීප්?
Sir, JC group of companies, sir.
JC. Okay. Good. Super. කො තව ඉන්නවද කට්ටිය? මොනවල් දාගන්න. කො අපිට බලන්න කට්ටිය. කොහෙද කියලා ඉවරලා. No guys, actually it's like this now. I mean, you guys are coming online and I see and many are not even active in WhatsApp group and you all need to interact with each other. And these days, you know, I mean, having network within you all can do at least some kind of a support for each other. You might get some kind of a support to each other. අපිට business එකක් හොයාගන්න connectivity එකක් build කරගන්න හරි ඕගොල්ලන්ට support එක ගන්න පුළුවන් අපේ මේ ඉන්න network එකෙන්. So that is the benefit to get to know each other. මොකද එහෙම නැතුව අපි නිකන් syllabus එකක් ඉගෙනගෙන ඉස්සරහට යනවට වඩා ඒක ඕනේ. ඒක මම නැහැයි කියන්නේ. එතන අපිට මේ inputs අවශ්‍යයි. But I'm saying, okay, if you all know each other now, I mean, in the, I mean, for the final one, we had about 150 plus connections. Level 1 again, level 2 again, right? So if you all have those connections with you all, I mean, you all can do at least something. No, I mean, like the situation is a bit crucial, you know. Now, I mean, whatever the things you all can do might support even for another person in the same group. So that is the reason this network is so important. It's not the classroom session. No, it's not getting the certificate. I mean, certificate you can get. I mean, even much better qualifications you can get from the industry, right? Not like this skill-based diploma here. But I mean, what you all need to look at, okay, how can we get to know each other and, you know, get ourselves connected to each other and get benefited. So that is what we need to look at. So when you all now, let's say as example, if if Ishara is working for a company, particular company now IT, and you all might be able to support him to connect your IT managers and, you know, whatever the IT related requirements with him. So it's like that. It's like that. So, I mean, we'll be able to support each other when you all get to know each other. It's not just coming in online and learn whatever the theories and, I mean, you know, sit for exam and get the qualification. Finally, you will come into the convocation and see you don't know each other sometimes. I mean, we actually saw certain faces last time. Again, they were not basically interacting during the class. ඒතර convocation එකට ඇවිල්ලා isolate. එහෙම වැඩක් නැහැ ඇත්තටම. You all need to build up that network. ඒකෙන් උපරිම ගන්න because you all finally now let's say 100 companies කියලා කියන්නේ 100 people in the sense 100 connections within the cluster නේ. So හැම එක්කෙනාටම connections දෙක ගානේ අපි තිබ්බොත් එම additional outside our classroom connections company දෙක ගානේ තිබ්බොත් so 100 becomes 300 නේ augmented connections කොච්චර තියෙනවද? So අපිටම let's say මම කතා කරලා කියනවා Clarence, I need to get this connection done from Clarence might say මට මෙතන connection එක තියෙනවා මම connect කරන්නම් කියන එක. Because sales is always the connectivities no. Right, Germany මේ ඉන්නේ. අන්න එක කෙල්ලෙක් ආවා මෙතනට. Super. Germany කොහෙද work කරන්නේ? Right? Germany, where are you? Can't hear. කොහෙද work කරන්නේ Germany? I think got stuck. So these connectivities are important, guys. ඒකයි මම කියන්නේ හැම තිස්සෙම මොකද සමහරලාට job එකක් හොයනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Let's say as an example, you might have applied for a particular company. Now, if that person, if someone is there from this group in that particular company, you might call and ask, මචං මට interview එකක් තියෙනවා හෙට ඔයගොල්ලෝ company එකේ. කවුද දන්නේ interview board එකේ ඉන්නේ. සමහරලාට you might not be able to get the exact detail, but you can get about the company, right? I mean, අපි website වල තියෙන දේවල් ඇත්ත company එකේ ඇත්ත දේවල් මේ website වල සමහරලාට තියෙන්නේ නැහැනේ, right? This is the reality. company එකේ I mean ඕක පුළුවන් තරම් වැඩි කරලානේ ඔය websites වල ඔය මේ medias වල තියෙන්නේ. අපි ගත්තොත් එimhe reality එක අපිට අහන්න පුළුවන් කාගෙන් හරි කතා කරලා මම I have an interview there කොහොමද යන salary scale එක ඕගොල්ලෝගේ මම මේ මොකද ගිහිල්ලා interview එකට ගිහිල්ලා වැඩිපුර අහුවොත් එම අපරාධයක්. මොකද company එක ඇතුළේ සමහර policies තියෙනවා. So you can get some kind of a detail like that. I'm just saying the basic. Or else let's say you are planning to sell something for that particular company, right? අහනවා මෙතන මේ කවුරු හරි ඉන්නවද මේ company එකේ connection එකක් build up කරගන්න. මොකද connectivities ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ඕවට කියනවා referral connectivities කියලා. එතකොට lazy, right? එතකොට ඒ company එක ඇතුලේ ඉන්න කෙනාට කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒ rapport එක තියෙනවා නම් මගේ classmate කෙනෙක් පුළුවන් නම් සමහර වෙලාවට you might not be able to close that particular deal, but future you might be able to get into that company and do some sale, right, with them. So මෙන්න මේ connectivities හදාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ isolate වෙලා ඉන්න එපා. sales කරනවායි කියලා කියන්නේ sales කරන්න නම් we need contacts, otherwise you can't do sales. So you need to get to know each other. Then it is very easy, guys. මොකද ඒ ඔය skills හදාගන්න. මොකද අපි isolate වෙලා ඉන්න තරම් you will not be able to gain things. ඉතින් බලන්න. So the purpose was to get yourself connected to each other and even others, right? But what I'm saying, right? Get connected කියන එක තමයි මම කියන්නේ. So otherwise in vain. අපි බලමු මොකක්ද physically අපිට connection එකක් build කරගන්න I mean other than the convocation, if we have some kind of a approach or the facility, we will be able to get everybody in one place and have at least one particular session before the convocation. Api balamu eka, because it's bit of a challenging for us, and some are not even in Colombo, some are outside Colombo, so etanat pretty challenge athina, but whoever who can get together and do a session. So eka thamai api balamu. We are planning a location called Pity to get to have you all at least one physical session before the final one, so that you all can get to know each other. පුළුවන් කට්ටිය එන්නේ අනිත් කට්ටිය අපි virtual අපි අරගන්න try එකක් දෙමු අරගෙන. So these connectivities are so important for your future. So that is the reason. So හොඳයිනේ. I mean අපිට physical එක session එකක් හරි අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් it will be ideal. So we are looking at a location for that, and hopefully we will be able to do it end of this month. If so, whoever the possible join that, then we can get to know each other and do something. අපිට අර ඒක වැදගත් වෙනවා ඕගොල්ලන්ට. I mean more than our side, for you all it's so important, right? අන්තිමටම මොකද අපි සමහර වෙලාවට guys now the relationship what you all built during your school days still there, no? Still there. Why is that? Because you are physically connected, you played together, you were basically fighting each other, and you were sometimes you might have followed the same girl right together. So these things are happening, the fun stories, nah? So creating a lot, taking a lot in your life, nah? So these things are important. I think අර ඒකයි බලන්න පුළුවන් තරම් අපි ඒක එහෙම connectivities ටික හදා ගන්න බලමු, right? බලාගෙන okay, Inam, good, superb. මේ ඉන්නේ faces, Inam, superb, right? Inam, where are you working? Can't hear. Inam ගියා, right?
Kerox Channel Development Executive under Delmage.
Okay, under Delmage. Good. Right. Which region you are looking at? Your channel?
South. Kellogg's brand.
Okay. Challenge තියෙනවා බඩු ගන්න නේද? Okay. Good. Superb. So you are looking at southern region?
Southern region, sir.
Good. Anyway, get to know each other. And let's say, as an example, I'm just taking a hypothetical example. If you want to build a southern connection, අපි හිතමු මට ඩීලර් කෙනෙක් හොයාගන්න ඕනේ සදන් ඉන්න කවුරු හරි ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක විකුණන කෙනෙක් හොයාගන්න ඕනේ කියලා ඉවරලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් රීසෙලර් කෙනෙක් හොයාගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. You can call Inam and ask Inam මචං මට මේ පැත්තේ කවුරු හරි මේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක විකුණන කෙනෙක් හොයලා දෙනවා මගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක පුෂ් කරගන්න. ඩීලර් නෙට්වර්ක් එකක් බිල්ඩ් කරගන්න. රීසෙලර් නෙට්වර්ක් එකක් බිල්ඩ් කරගන්න. You know, I mean can support each other. ඒව තමයි ඉතින් තියෙන benefits ඉතින් බලන්න. ඒ පැති වලින් හදාගෙන යන්න. So don't stick to only to the subject and complete the subject. ඒක නෙමෙයි challenge එක තියෙන. අපිට challenge එක තියෙන්නේ relationships build කරගෙන ඒ relationships එක්ක ඉස්සරහට ගිහිල්ලා ඉවර වෙලා අපිට win කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් එතන තමයි challenge එක තියෙන්නේ. Right? So guys, yes, superb. Now because we are coming into one of the most important area today, and we started actually last week the module, the planning part, because there are some more important theories we need to discuss under that chapter. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kattiyatama. So let's start the session. Right? We'll meet up again. Senal, if we can, Senal, are you there or are you you're parallel with another one? Senal, okay, he may be parallel to another one. Right. So, right. So let's see. I mean, we will let you all know once we arrange the physical session. Then we can get together and have some kind of a, you know, meet up before the final one. We'll do like that. Super. So let's start today's one. So we were talking about the marketing and the sales planning part, and we were talking about the microeconomic environmental factors, and we identified. If I summarize whatever we were talking about, we studied mainly the strategic marketing planning process and the planning process, where we were talking about 4-step approach and the 5-step in final. Right. So 5-step process we were talking about, and we discussed how the environmental audit. We started discussing how the environmental audit works. So we will be continuing this part, the environmental audit part today also, because that is the major area in the entire marketing plan. I'm not saying other areas are not important, other areas are important, but if you do the environmental audit properly, then only you can get the maximum out of the other steps. So we identified the environmental audit, and we identified, okay, what are the 2 major environments we are looking at. Then we were talking about, we need to look at the external environmental factors and the internal environmental factors. And external environment we categorized into 2 mainly, the microeconomic environment and the macroeconomic environment. I showed you all this graph that day. We were drawing this, and we said, okay, internal environment is there. So internal environment is also a part of micro environment. We identified that, and the micro environment is there here. Where we see all the actors that are connected with the business process, right? Supply and distribution process, along with the competition in the industry. And we were talking about the macroeconomic environment, which is a broader environment where you look at all the PESTIL framework. In current context, you talk about the PESTIL framework, where you talk about the political, economical, socio-cultural, and the demographic, technological, ethical, ecological, and the legal. And we were talking about some more elements might add in future, like the global and the local terrorism and the pandemic conditions, where you have no control, and your adaptability and the agility within the organization is basically works along with those external environmental actors. So we were talking about all this, but we didn't discuss the macro environmental factors in depth, but we got an idea what are the environment we need to look at when we audit the marketing environmental perspective. So, or else we call it the environmental audit. මේ study එක කරනකොට අපි කියන වචන කීපයක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි environmental audit කියලා කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා we use it as marketing audit කියලා කියනවා, right? එහෙම නැත්නම් සමහර textbooks වල and in certain trainers use environmental scanning කියලා. Environmental scanning කියලා කියනවා සමහර කට්ටිය. I mean everything is correct. Environmental scanning කියලා කියනවා. තව විදියකට කියනවා ඕක situation analysis කියලා. Situation analysis කියලා කියනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ current situation analysis එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ present condition එක analyze කරනවායි කියලා කියනවා. Situation analysis කියලා කියනවා. So ඒ වගේ I mean we are using different words. Different words to identify the same thing, right? Environmental audit, the marketing audit, the environmental scanning, the situation analysis, right? We use different words to name the same thing. So what we do there, we said, okay, we analyze these two environmental actors and we were talking about this. Now I'm going to take you all on few different elements that are connected with the internal environment, which means this part of the entire environmental audit. I think we were talking about the opportunity one, which means the scenario matrix we were talking about. But let me quickly recap on whatever the areas we were talking about. Then it will be easy for you all. So let's see one by one. So the whole objective of the environmental scanning, the whole objective of marketing audit, whole objective of environmental audit, right? To unearth or to identify whatever the industry available opportunities to grow our business, whatever the industry foreseeable threats which we might foresee in future, whatever the organization internal environmental strengths we have, whatever the weaknesses we need to overcome. So our whole objective is to unearth those 4 areas. By doing this in environmental audit, my dear friends, what we come up finally, we come up here finally. We try to find our strengths, we try to find our weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Why? Because when you know your strengths, my dear friends, using those strengths, you can capture the market available opportunities. Using those strengths, you can capture the market available opportunities. When you know your strengths, you can capture market available opportunities using those strengths. You can easily match your strengths along with the available opportunity. You can easily match. So what else we do? So we can design strategies. To overcome our weakness or convert our weakness into strengths. We can design our strategies to convert our weakness into strengths. May weakness ටික අපිට strength කරගන්න ඕනේ. මේ weakness අඩු කරලා පුළුවන් තරම් strengths වැඩි කරගන්න ඕනේ. We need to reduce weaknesses and increase more and more strengths. So we can design strategies to reduce weakness and bring them into strengths. So if we don't identify those weaknesses, so how come we take strategies to make them strengths? No, you can't. So your objective should be to identify this. Your objective should be to identify strengths. By identifying strengths, you can capitalize market available opportunities. So you need to make sure you do that. And you should be able to see these threats as opportunities. As I said earlier, the brands like Benson and Hedges. Okay, I'm not trying to promote tobacco here, but the branding context and even the Lion Beer, they were doing, they were promoting nicely even with the legal barrier. I mean, their brand, but ethical considerations, they might have stopped their campaigns. So see, you should be able to see whatever the threats as opportunities. For someone, it's a threat, and for you, it will be an opportunity. So you got to identify that. You got to identify that. So why we do this? Environmental scan, environmental audit, marketing audit. So to come up with, to identify this. එතනදී තමයි අපිට strategy design එකකට යන්න පුළුවන්. strategies design කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් මේ opportunity එක අල්ලගන්න අපිට තියෙන strength එකෙන් මේ opportunity එක අල්ලගන්න. What is the strategy we can use? Let's say we identified an opportunity. New market trend pattern. So do our internal strengths are there to capture that trend changes, trend patterns? So if so, you do. If so, you do. And remember, then අපි සමහර වෙලාවට සමහර තැන්වලදී කියනවා do a SWOT කියලා. විශේෂයෙන්ම sales කරන ඒගොල්ලන්ට SWOT එකක් කරන්නයි කිව්වොත් ගෙනල්ලා පුළුවන් තරම් company එකේ තියෙන weakness ගොඩ ගහනවා. පුළුවන් තරම් company එකේ තියෙන weakness ගොඩ ගහනවා. Because our sales people are pretty strong to say how things not to happen. මේ වැඩේ වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ කොහොමද කියලා කියන හරිම strong in most of the companies where we come across, right? අපිට හම් වෙන ගොඩක් companies වල ඔක අපි දකිනවා. මේක this is the reality. sales කරන කට්ටිය threats පුළුවන් තරම් හොයාගෙන යනවා. market එකේ තියෙන threats පුළුවන් තරම් හොයාගෙන යනවා. competitor barriers මොනවද? legal barriers මොනවද? social barriers මොනවද? technological තියෙනවා නම් barriers මොනවද? ඔය ඔක්කොම තියෙන barriers හොයාගෙන යනවා. පුළුවන් තරම් threats හොයාගෙන යනවා. පුළුවන් තරම් weaknesses හොයාගෙන යනවා. To do what? වැඩේ කරන්න බැහැයි කියන එක prove කරන්න හොයනවා. But very few, right? ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි දකින්නේ strengths හරීම අඩුවෙන් තමයි strengths හොයාගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඇවිල්ලා කියන්නේ නෑ අපිට strengths නෑ, sales කරන්න strengths නෑ. මේ organization එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා, but you fail to identify that. Opportunities හොයන් එන්නේ නෑ. Opportunities නෑ කියලා කියන්නේ ඒතර sale එක කරන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ නැති level එකට කරන්න. You can't do like that. Your environmental audit, guys, remember, right? Macro and the micro environmental audit should have certain qualities. It should be unbiased. How do you spell BIASCD? Unbiased. Unbiased කියලා කියන්නේ පැත්තකට එක පැත්තකට අදින්නේ නැහැ. දැන් marketing department එකෙන් environmental audit එක කරා කියලා accounts department එකට ගහගෙන යන්නේ නැහැ. accounts department එකෙන් fund release කරන්නේ නැහැ. accounts department එකෙන් procurement හරියට කරන්නේ නැහැ. production department එකට ගහගෙන යන්නේ නැහැ. මේ marketing department එකෙන් audit කරා කියලා ඉවරලා මේ marketing audit එක කරා කියලා supply එක හරියට කරන්නේ නැහැ. production damages තියෙනවා කියලා. No. එහෙම නෙමෙයි. So it should be unbiased. It should be an unbiased one. Right? Marketing or environmental audit, what you do should be an unbiased. කාටවත් bias වෙන්න බෑ. ඒ bias වුණොත් තමයි ඕගොල්ලෝ පුළුවන් තරම් production එකේ weakness හොයනවා, finance එකේ weakness හොයනවා, HR එකෙන් මිනිසුන්ව recruit කරන්න නැහැ කියන weakness හොයනවා. පුළුවන් තරම් හොයනවා. පුළුවන් තරම් weakness. ඒ bias. Don't do like that. Don't do like that. So it should be an unbiased thing. It should be a periodic thing. It should be a periodic thing. දැන් මේක අවුරුදු 5කට කලින් කරපු එක දැන් valid නෑ my dear friends. The market is dynamic. It's keep on changing. So if you try to behave, if you try to use the audit what you did a few years back, or maybe even few last year audit, you can't take now because the market is dynamic. It's keep on changing. So you need to have this environmental audit periodically. You might not do the comprehensive environmental audit, but generally you need to do an environmental audit in a periodic manner. Otherwise, what will happen? You don't know what is happening outside in the competitive environment. You don't know what is happening in the what do you call? Let's say customer environment, your consumer environment. You don't know what is happening over there. You don't know what is happening in your supply environment. So you got to have a clear idea about those now. You got to have a clear idea about those. So you have to audit periodically. You don't know what is happening at the channel intermediate level. You have to audit periodically, right? Unbiased periodic audit. It should be unbiased periodic audit, and it should be a comprehensive one. Nah? It should be a comprehensive one. What do you mean by the comprehensive one? Complete. දැන් මේ මාකටිං ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකෙන් සේල් කරනවා මේ ඔඩිට් එක කරනවායි කියලා මාකටිං ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක තියෙන වැරදි ටික හංගලා කරන්නේ. You can't do like that. Right? මාකටිං ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ තියෙන සේල්ස් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ තියෙන ස්ට්‍රෙන්ත්ස් ඔක්කොම highlight කරලා ඉවරලා අනිත් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් වල තියෙන වැරදි ඔක්කොම මේවා කරලා. You can't do like that. Right? You can't do like that. You have to do a comprehensive audit. You have to do a comprehensive audit. Right? Hammer area comprehensive audit කියලා කිව්වම macros, micros, all the macros, all the micros you have to cover. You can't ignore. You can't ignore any of those environmental actors. So you have to connect all these environmental actors. Then only you can identify more and more opportunities, more and more threats, more and more strengths, more and more weaknesses. Otherwise, you will not be able to get. You will not be able to get political scenarios, economical condition, අපි comprehensively analyze කරන්න ඕනේ. Then only you can get it. So it should be a periodic, unbiased, comprehensive audit, right? To unearth with all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So ඒක තමයි audit එකෙන් වෙන්නේ මතක තියාගන්න. So we were talking about all these areas anyway, and we identified the opportunity matrix. We identified. So when you list down all these opportunities, right? When you list down all these opportunities, guys, පුළුවන් තරම් ඇත්තටම අපි හරි දුර්වලයි opportunities හොයන්න. දැන් අපි ඇත්තටම බලන්නේ I don't know, I mean like අපි ඇත්තටම බලන්නේ මොනවද මේ කාලේ අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් opportunities. මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? Because everybody is struggling right now. Every organization is struggling right now. You can't say, I mean, except very few handful companies, right? Might be okay, but most of the mid-range and the SME, right, are struggling. Even the global companies are struggling because of their, the expenditure, the capital expenditure, right? So because of that, we need to look at what are the opportunities. Sometimes you will have to diversify your business into a different sectors. Sometimes you might not even think about selling foods, and at this particular time, since you need to survive, survival is important. Since you need to make sure your employees are getting their at least the basics, so you might enter into a business where you generate cash cows. So you need to look at those opportunities. You can't just sit back and focus on one particular area right now. So you need to look at. So that is why when you look at the environmental scanning, you can look at multiple avenues and see what are the opportunities available in the business. Sometimes you might not feel. Last week, actually, one of the previous students spoke to me, right? And she said, "Sir, I can't do the business right now. Everything has gone, right? So no demand, zero sales. So how can I survive?" She was asking. I can't survive. I can't even pay my salaries. I can't even pay my rents. I can't even pay my, whatever the overdues. So how can we survive? She was just asking. And I said, look here, your intention is what? To survive. If it is a crisis, the survival is the strategy. Survival is a strategy. So if the survival is a strategy, you need to make sure some kind of a cash cows you bring into the organization. It might not tallying with the core of your business, but you need to make sure if your core to run, you need to have the cash cows in the business. So those cash cows will be new products into the business. Then I said, look here, by looking at your operation, by looking at your environment, the business environment, and I said, look here, come up with certain products like this to bring cash into the organization, the quick cash, the daily cash into the organization. and do it nicely. Don't just sell things. You have to do it nicely. And I said, look here, sometimes you might continue that business in future if you do it nicely with a nice looking brand. You come up and if the demand is there, I know for sure the demand is there. Demand will be there. The cash cows will be there, and the cash generation business will be there for her. Then she might continue for sure. I know. Right? The intention is what? To survive this particular time period. So you got to have a clear idea about. You need to look at all these opportunities. Even we are in the same. So industrial sector, in the sector where I'm into, it's pretty challenging. It's not easy at all. So I mean, in my concern, we are surviving only with the existing projects what we are having right now. No new investment projects, no new apartment projects, no new factory development projects. So everything existing. So it's pretty challenging, my dear friends. So you need to look at opportunities. Kohenda ganda puluwan, kohenda business opportunity එකක් තියෙන්නේ. So that is why I always said, typical salesman ලා වෙන්න එපා කවදාවත්. Typical salesman ලා වෙන්න එපා කවදාවත්. Typical salesman ලා කියන්නේ පුළුවන් තරම් අර වෙන්නේ නැති level එකට වැඩ කරන මිනිස්සු තමයි පුළුවන් තරම් typical salesman ලා කියලා අපි දකින්නේ. අමාරුයි time period. So you have to find opportunities. ඒකයි මේ හම්බ වෙන opportunities list down කරන. කොතනින්ද පටන් ගන්න, කොයි opportunity එකද prioritize කරන්න කියන එක. So list down කරලා ඉවරලා ඒවත් එක්ක address කරගෙන යන්න. So opportunity matrix, the threat matrix is used for that particular purpose. Look at whether that opportunity what you identify, whether it is really attractive, whether the success probability is high or not. We are looking at. I'm looking at certain opportunities. ගත්තකම මම බලනවා මේක අපිට ගහන්න පුළුවන්ද මේ ගේම? මේක දැම්මොත් අපිට මේ ගේම ගහන්න පුළුවන්ද? මේක කොච්චර සක්සස් වෙයිද නැද්ද? වෙන නැත්නම් අත්හැරලා දානවා. කොච්චර attractive වුණත් success probability එකක් නැත්නම් අපි සමහර වෙලාවට අත්හැරලා දාන opportunities තියෙනවා. So you need to look at. You need to look at. මේක further break කරන්න පුළුවන් high, mid, low කියලා further break කරලා තවත් opportunities කඩන්න පුළුවන්. High, mid, low විදිහට කඩලි වල තවත් opportunities break කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. තව filter කරන්න පුළුවන්. So you can have that expansion. So see what you can do, right? Opportunity matrix. Opportunity matrix is crucial. So you can identify whatever the market related opportunities there. And the scenario matrix, we identified, okay, how you plan yourself, how your business, okay, how, I mean, whatever the changes in that particular the business environment. So those scenarios might helpful for you all. Sometimes might challenge you all. So you need to identify how you all should prepare yourself to counter these changes. If something happened, what will happen? Mandane, just before I started the session, I heard ඔක්කොම මන්දන එක කොච්චර දුරට ඇත්තද කියන එක කොච්චර දුරට ඇත්තද කියන එක cost reduction එකකට යන්න නගර සභා ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා පළාත් සභා ඔක්කොම dissolve කරනවා කියලා මම දන්නේ ඒ ස්ටෝරි එක ඇත්තද කියලා. If so, it's brilliant. Guys, 225 survive වෙන්නේ මේ නගර සභා කාර්යෝ ටික හින්දා, මේ පළාත් සභා කාර්යෝ ටික හින්දා, මේ ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා කාර්යෝ ටික හින්දා. මේ ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා කාර්යෝ මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? පළාත් සභා කාර්යෝ, නගර සභා කාර්යෝන්ගේ survive වෙනවා, නගර සභා කාර්යෝ පළාත් සභා කාර්යෝන්ගේ survive වෙනවා, ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා කාර්යෝ නගර සභා කාර්යෝන්ගේ survive වෙනවා. ඕක හින්දා තමයි මේ 225 ලස්සන්ට survive වෙලා ඉන්නේ. මේ chain එක කඩපු දවසට රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ තනියෙන් ඉන්න හින්දා කැඩුවොත් ලොකු දෙයක්. ඒක කරගත්ත දවසට මේක අපිට chain එක කඩන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් සම්පූර්ණ constitution එකේ change එකක් එනවා. සම්පූර්ණ constitution එකේ change එකක් આવොත් ලොකු cost saving එකක් එනවා. නමුත් මම දන්නේ නැහැ කොහොමද මේක වෙන්නේ කියන එක. constitutional change එකකට යන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම වුණොත් එහෙම ලංකාවට ගොඩක් වාසි පැත්තක් එනවා. මොකද අනවශ්‍ය විදියට අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඩිපෙන්ඩ් වෙනවා මේ කොහෙවත් ඉන්න මේ නගර සභාවල ඉන්න පඟර නැට්ටොන්ගේ මේ අවුරුදු 5කට විතරපත් වෙච්ච ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා මන්ත්‍රීලාගේ පස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා උන්ගේ දේවල් හින්දා අපිට වැඩක් කරගන්න බැරි ලෙවල. Professionally, the people, those who are qualified, if we appoint them as permanent jobs, right? ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්ලාගේ ඉඳලම ඒ පැත්ත අපිට හැදුවොත් මේ කොහෙවත් ඉන්න ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා මන්ත්‍රී කාර්යයක්වත් නගර සභා මන්ත්‍රීවත් පළාත් සභා මන්ත්‍රී කෙනෙක්වත් නැතුව මේ වැඩේ කරන්න තිබොත් we will have a brilliant future. මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒ කතාව කොච්චර දුරට ඇත්තද කියන එක. එහෙම decision එකක් තියෙනවයි කියන එක අපේ Prime Minister ගේ side එකෙන් discussion එකක් යනවා කියන එක I don't know whether how far it is true, but එහෙම වුණොත්, right, it'll be a very good position for the country and even the future. එතකොට ඔය සෙල්ලම් මුකුත් නැහැ. එතකොට කෙලින්ම what do you call this, MPs, the members of parliament, elected by the public, and they will run the case. But I don't know how far constitutional changes can take place in this. So see, ඒ වගේ දෙයක් වුණොත් කොහොමද අපිට changes එන්නේ? අපි හිතමු, let's say as an example, what IMF rejected for next 2 years. කොහොමද survival වෙන්නේ? ඕවා තමයි scenarios. මේ scenario එක වුණොත් අපිට කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? World Bank fund කරොත් at least World Bank $1 billion දුන්නොත් අපිට කොහොමද අපිට එහෙනම් ඒක ඒ scenario එක කොහොමද අපිට බලපාන්නේ? So you need to look at in that way. Right? So scenario metrics, we were talking about this last week. So then we are looking at another one. Okay. So this also analyzing the customer. This is to analyze the customer, my dear friends, by looking at how your brand is attracted to the customer. How your decisions to be taken by looking at the customer reaction towards your brand. මේ ඔක්කොම internal parameters. Internal ඒවත් එක්ක අපි බලන දේවල්. එතකොට දැන් අපි customer analyze කරනවා. Customer is an external actor. Remember, customer is an external actor, but you are looking at the way they simply purchase our products, by looking at way they simply allocate their time and money to purchase our product. So when you analyze your customer, some customers we identify, they have ample time. අපි අර ඉස්කෝලේ යන කාලේ වගේ සත්තක් පහක් අතේ නැහැ, low income, but enough time නේ, right? Now you need to identify. So the personal disposable income, the income, remaining income to go for another need satisfaction. When you analyze the customer, you identify some customers are with personal disposable income very low, right? And also they don't have much time to spend. They are struggling for their daily income, right? They are struggling for their daily income. So what can we do to identify their, actually this is not only an auditing tool, I want to tell you that. This is an auditing tool plus strategy tool. Guys, okay, let me tell you all this. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම auditing tool කියලා කියන්නේ, strategy tool කියලා කියන්නේ, strategy metrics, auditing metrics කියලා කියන්නේ ಜಾති දෙකක්. සමහර ඒවා ඔය දෙකටම අපි use කරනවා. auditing tool එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ situation එක analyze කරන්න පාවිච්චි කරන දෙයක්. Right? So strategy tool එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ යම්කිසි direction එකක් අපිට අරගන්න පාවිච්චි කරන tool එකක්. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් ends of growth matrix එක අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මෙතන I will show you all anyway. එතන ඒක growth directions අපි ගන්න tool එකක්. දැන් මේ tool එක ගත්තොත් මේ ලෙස්ලි චනටනේ introduce කරපු brand related matrix එක අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මෙතනදී අපි now here we are looking at look at the customers and see whether they are having proper disposable income, whether they are comfortable with their time availability to go ahead with our purchase. Now let's say as an example, we identify a set of customers. As an example, I will put a figure. We identified 20% customers are having good disposable income and also they have ample time. We identified, when we audit, we identify this. When we audit, we identify this, right? And our strategy is what? Our strategy is what? Justify the price premium and sell the product. Our strategy, because they have enough time, right? And you can basically increase the premium side of your brand and sell for these people because they have time to allocate for your brand. They have basically, time to get to know about your brand. They will learn more and more about your brand. You have enough time to do demonstrations. You have enough time to do, product analysis along with the client. So justify the price premium and sell the product. That is the strategy what you can do. Let's say when you audit the customer segment, you identified this part is about 40. As an example, hypothetical, don't take this as 40 always. Hypothetical, you identified in your customer segment, you have 40% customers, those who are good in income, but they have limited time. Right? Limited time. ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඕගොල්ලොන් එක time එක waste කරන්න කාලේ නැහැ. පොඩි වෙලාවක් තියෙන්නේ, but ample income, good income. So you charge for convenient. You sir buy වෙන්න එපා sir වැඩේ කරගන්න අපි මේ item එක deliver කරන්න. So පොඩි delivery charge එකක් යනවා කමන්නේ. So that's okay, you just send it. The people might say because they have ample money, enough money. So you charge for the convenient you bring. So the strategy is that. Your strategy is that. Then you audit and identify. Hypothetical figures. You audit and identify this. Let's say you audit and identify this. 10% in or dekamane. Dupat minusu. Right? Dawasa vela hoyaganna dangalana minusu. Time එකක් නැහැ. Disposable income එකක් නැහැ. Right? පුළුවන් තරම් value for money හොයන මිනිස්සු. Discounts හොයාගෙන යන මිනිස්සු, bundle offers හොයාගෙන යන මිනිස්සු, free offers හොයාගෙන යන මිනිස්සු. See, you identify them. Then you identify another set like this. So you are analyzing your market. And that is why I said this is an audit tool as well as a strategy tool. You can identify and see how much such customers are available in the market. And what should be our strategy for those people? So you got to look at. So this is another model, another matrix, right? Anyway, guys, it's supposed to come as an external tool, though I have taken it here, right? But get the idea. When you are looking at the customers, you can audit the customers in this way. Any questions, guys? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Ask, okay. Me hamma tool එකක්ම question වෙනවා. Me hamma tool එකකින්ම questions තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ exam එකට. So ask. And remember, guys, ඔයගොල්ලෝ MBS වලට ගියාම ඉගෙන ගන්න tools මේවා. Okay. Right. So we are moving into another one. Okay, we will be coming into this. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jerome here.
Yeah, Jerome.
Now we can see that low income and they have limited time and high time. So can you give examples of this kind of customers and what are the products catered for them?
Okay. Low income, limited time and high time, right? Then low income උදාහරණයක් විතර ගන්න, right? School students, right? Income එකක් නෑ, අම්මලා දෙන සල්ලි වලින් තමයි dependent. හැබැයි ample time නේ. සුපර්මාකට් එකට ගිහලා තෝරලා බඩු ගන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටිය. එහෙම නැත්නම් let's say as an example the just entered to the corporate sector. 40,000 50,000 පඩිය තියෙන මිනිස්සු income එක low, disposable income එක low. එතකොට නමුත් they have ample time, they don't have other burdens in their life, right? So these type of people. So I mean, you what do? I mean, you can simply let's say ask them to experience the product and purchase. Let's say as an example, අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම, I'm not saying the branded shoes, okay? Low income කට්ටිය අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම unbranded counterfeit products අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම. I'm not saying to sell the counterfeit, but I mean, they are targeting whom mostly? Low income people, right? But those who are having ample time to go and see, ගිහිල්ලා බලලා price එක check කරලා, තව තැනකට ගිහිල්ලා බලලා prices check කරලා branded එකක් ගන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ට high income නැහැ. Right? නමුත් අර branded එක වගේ තියෙන channel 2 එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි ගත්තොත් එම fake counterfeit replica වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒව select කරගන්න යන target market එක target audience එක වෙන්න පුළුවන් මෙතන. And here if you really look at low income, limited time, the people, those who are struggling with income, their intention is what? Their intention is at least to find some money for their survival. So day in and day out, they work. Sometimes one job, they travel from one place to get an income, another place to get an income, another place to get an income. Maybe sometimes 18 hours a day they are working. I mean, for them, they don't have time to spend in front of you to ask about more and more product information. They just buy whatever the value for money products they have. Sometimes they might pass about 10-15 outlets and go for the small dosekade and have their meal. 10-15 good outlets and go and have dosekade from for a small meal. You got to identify. You got to identify this segment. So it depends on the industry. It depends on, because here what you do, right? I mean, you look at your customer by looking at the time availability and the money availability. So if it is a consumer segment, it differs. If it is a business segment, I mean, this model mostly focusing on the consumer market. Remember, this model mostly focus on the consumer market, but industrial market, we don't use much, right? In this, but very unlikely. But consumer market, this model we are highly using. Why people are going for sachet packets and all these things, right? They don't have time, they don't have money, right? They just buy a small sachet packet for that particular time period and consume. They value for money. They look value for money. ඒගොල්ලෝ ගිහිල්ලා සුපර් මාකට්ස් වලට ගිහිල්ලා ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක තෝරලා එහෙම බෑ. ළඟ තියෙන පෙට්ටි කඩෙන් ගිහිල්ලා ශෂේ පැකට් එකක් අරගත්තා, නෙස්ටමෝල් චූටි පැකට් එකක් අරගත්තා. එදාට තේක හදාගෙන බිව්වා. They don't like to go to supermarket and get hang on with the other people to buy their stuff because they are not comfortable with it. එක සුපර් මාකට් එකකට ගිහලා සුපර් මාකට් එකේ queue එකේ ඉඳලා ඉවරලා චූටි ශෂේ පැකට් එකක් අරගෙන නෙස්ටමෝල් පැකට් එකක් අරගෙන ඉවරලා ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා හදාගෙන they don't have that comfort. You know, now let's say as example, now Inam is there who is selling Kellogg's here. Kellogg's name the Inam denamai කියලා කිව්වේ. Now, do you think the Kellogg's catering into this segment? Inam, you are selling Kellogg's, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, I mean, do you think your segment is here?
Hello, sir.
Where are your people? Where are your customers? Where do you think your customers are? Right? Obvious the Kellogg's is in either of these two. What is the price of a packet right now? 1,200. No? 600 gram pack එක මට මතකද 1,200 කොයිද නේ මේ දවස්වල දැන් යන්නේ?
Oh, sir. Our prices increment today, sir.
So see, එතකොට මොන මාකට් එකද අපි මේ කේටර් කරන්නේ? I mean the people those who are having I mean high income, but they don't think much, but they just buy for their kids, right? Just to make their kids happy, they just buy their products. They are high income, right? So එහෙම නැත්තම් උදේට මීල් එක හදාගන්න ටයිම් එක නැහැ. චුට්ටක් කරගත්ත කිරි එකක් එක්ක මික්ස් කරා වාහනේ යන ගමන් කාගෙන ගියා. So people don't have enough time for their even food. So products in that nature, right? So you can talk about. You get what I'm saying? Did I answer? I think who was asking that question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jerome,
Yeah,
you
thank you,
asking
sir.
that question.
Yeah.
No worries. So see, I mean, we have, but මේක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට B2B touch කරන්නේ නැහැ අපි මේකේ. Right? මොකද B2B analysis ඊට වඩා වෙනස් හින්දා. So here talking about the consumer market analysis. Still we are coming into macros. This is micro anyway, we are talking about one by one. Let's look at the other factors. Now අපි දැන් කතා කරපු model එක consumer analysis model එක, right? So let's look at others. Now this is a stakeholder analysis. Now when you look at your organization, right? When you look at your organization, right? You're connected with most of the stakeholders. You're connected with most of the stakeholders. මේකට අපි කියනවා linkage model එක කියලා. Stakeholder linkages. මොනවද අපිට තියෙන linkages? Who are the stakeholders connected with the organization? When you audit the business, you need to audit them. You need to audit them. You need to look at, okay, who are the stakeholders connected with the organization? Now let's say there are 4 types of stakeholders connected. Now see, as an example, functional stakeholders, the functional linkages. Functional linkages. Function මොකද්ද function එක? අපි මේ කතා කරන function එක මොකද්ද? අපි මේ organization එකේ කතා කරන functions ටික තමයි අපිට input output function එක. Input output functions ටික. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මෙන්න functional linkages අපි මෙතන කතා කරා functional linkages ටික. මෙතන මේ vertical chain එක ගත්තොත් මෙන්න මේ slide එකේ තියෙන suppliers, company එක ඇතුලේ internal stakeholders, external channel intermediary, consumers. All these are functional stakeholders. So when you are auditing, you need to audit them. So input, ඔගොල්ලෝගේ effort එකට inputs දෙන stakeholders ලා කවුද? Functional stakeholders categorized into 2. I mean, those who are basically involved in the entire operation of the organization. Entire operation of the organization. Your consumers, those who are buying your products, right? Your B2B customers, B2C customers, your retailers, your distributors, they are directly connected with the organization. But they are outside the organization. I mean, your output is basically connected with them. Your input is basically connected with them. Even your suppliers are providing things for your organization. So these are functional stakeholders. මේ audit එක කරනකොට අපිට limit කරන්න බෑ. මම මෙයාව බලනවා, මම මෙයාව බලන්නේ. මම මෙයාව බලනවා. No, that is why we said it's an unbiased, periodic, comprehensive කියලා කිව්වේ ඕක. සමහර වෙලාවට when you audit, you might not find much. Maybe one thing you might find to change your entire strategy. To change your entire strategy. It's not easy, but you got to do it. So functional stakeholders, you need to audit them. These are the functional stakeholders. So the questions might come. So who are the functional stakeholders? Functional stakeholders තුන්දෙනෙක් දීලා diffuse linkages එක්කෙනෙක් දීලා ඕගොල්ලන්ට අහන්න පුළුවන් මේ හරි උත්තරේ දෙන්නේ කියලා ඉවරලා. Right? Which is not a functional linkage to the organization කියලා question එකක් දීලා which is not කියලා අහලා මෙන්න මේ functional linkages තුනක් එක්ක not එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන කොහෙන් හරි අරගෙන. So you got to identify that. The diffuse linkages, right? And they are the public segment. They are not directly connected with the organization, but they can influence the organization either positively or negatively. Now, child labor organizations, right? They can influence the organization, right? NGOs, NPOs, pressure groups, right? Media. They can influence the organization either positively or negatively. If you do something good to the organization, media will start writing about your organization. They will influence positively. At the same way, if you do something wrong, they will back the media saying that this company was doing this, that, and all these stories will be there. So you got to be careful. So you need to manage the diffuse linkages here. Diffuse linkages, NGOs, right? And I mean the pressure groups, community organizations, right? I mean, may voters කියලා කියන්නේ basically okay not in Sri Lankan context, the local context, but media and the special interest groups are there in Sri Lankan context. So you need to audit them. You need to look at them. Enabling linkages, people who can pressure the organization, people who can give kind of a influence to the organization, your shareholders, your stockholders, the people, those who are having your shares in the organization. Congress is not there in the local context. right? Local legislators, right? Let's say as example, inland revenue, right? Provincial departments. So governmental regulation department, bodies, and all these things. So those are enabling linkages. They will enable your business, whether you can do it properly or not. They will give the confirmation for you to go ahead certain things. Let's say you come up with a building, and they might come up and say, look here, this is a residential area, you can't have it. This is a residential area, and if you are to have 5-story building, you have to have the parking space, two floors parking space, because a 5-story building, minimum about per floor 5 cars. Then 5 into 5, 25 cars. You have to accommodate at least 2 stories for the parking. Otherwise, the residential area might get blocked, disturbed. So they are giving the permission for your operation. So enabling linkages. You have to audit them. ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද opportunity එකක් කරගන්නේ අපි? ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද අපිට threat එකක් වෙන්නේ? ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද? threat එකක් කරගන්නේ නෙමෙයි. ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද අපිට threat එකක් වෙන්නේ? ඒව mitigate කරන්නේ කොහොමද? How can we mitigate the threat? Minimize the threat, which comes from the enabling linkages, diffuse linkages, normative linkages, competitors, our direct competitors, right? I mean, they are somewhat similar to what we are doing right now, right? So you need to identify the people, those who are with the common interest, the trade associations. Let's say as example, if you are in the IT industry, the Sri Lanka Computer Vendor Associations, trade chambers, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, National Chamber of Commerce, Federation Chamber of Sri Lanka. So trade chambers might influence you. Political groups might influence you. So you got to identify them. You need to audit all these things, all these, the linkages, all these stakeholders, those who are connected with you, your organization. And then you need to identify whatever the opportunities and threats, strengths, opportunities and threats you come across with them. And strengths and employees and trade unions. ඔය දෙකෙන් විතරයි මෙතන strengths අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්, because those two are internal. Even suppliers are external, though he's basically giving inputs to the business. So you got to identify this. This is a stakeholder analysis map, and we call it the linkage model, stakeholder linkage model. And once you analyze this, you can identify what type of stakeholders are giving opportunity to grow, and what stakeholders might influence us for our growth or create us barriers. We can identify. You got to look into these things when you do auditing part. Any questions? Another tool. Any questions? Anyone is having anyone is having any question? Another tool. Making මං හිතන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ database එකේ ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ question bank එකේ questions 10ක් විතර ඇති මේකෙන් අනිවාර්යෙන් question එකක් කර දෙයක් කරෙන්න පුළුවන්. It's an area which can question. Anyone? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone is having any questions? No? Right. Let's move on. Okay, core competency model, another internal analysis model, right? Another internal analysis model. Amel and Prahalad, core competency model, right? Now, these are core competencies. What we need to identify our competencies and the capacities, right? What we do using this auditing tool. අපි මේ auditing tool එකෙන් මොකක්ද කරන්නේ, right? We look at the organization available resources and competencies. Competencies means what we can do. Resources means what we have. අපිට මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? අපිට මොනවද කරන්න පුළුවන්? කියන එක ඒ parameters දෙක base කරගෙන අපි audit කරනවා internal environment එක. Resources. When you audit these two parameters, you look at from your competitor's perspective. You look at from your competitor's angle. අපිට resource එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ resource එක මේ competitor ට තියෙනවා වගේද? එහෙම නැත්නම් competitor ට ලේසියෙන් copy කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? එහෙම නැත්නම් අපිට තියෙන resource එක competitor ට වඩා හොඳද? එහෙම නැත්නම් competitor ට imitate කරන්න බැරිද? Difficult to imitate or inimitable කියන එක. So when you look at this, you identify, let's say as an example, you have a factory with about 1,000 staff employees, the factory workers, and your competitor is having a factory only with 200 factory workers, right? Listen carefully. You have a factory, your resource is the factory, and you have about 1,000 operators over there, and your competitor is having a factory, but only 200 operators are there. And see, that is a resource where you have something right now better than your competitor. But you need to think, can my competitor imitate my capacity? Can my competitor come up with a factory with 1,000 workers and expand his capacity of production? If that is the case, you're at a risk. If that is the case, you're at a risk. Now, if your competitor, my dear friends, if your competitor, right? If your competitor can easily copy what you have, can easily do what you can do, can easily match what you have, your resource is very temporary. What you have is very temporary because your competitor can come up and take your values and make yourself uncomfortable. So that type of a resource we identified as the threshold resource. Threshold resource. Let's say as an example, you have a resource. Your competitor cannot copy. It's a unique resource, right? Bonded warehouse එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. Taking a bonded warehouse capacity is not easy. Not easy. And if it is an inimitable resource, so you have a unique resource. You have a unique resource. You look at whether you have more and more unique resources. You look at whether you have more and more core competencies. The competency is also same. Let's say you have some kind of a competency. Your staff members are capable, capacity, their knowledge. You have patent. You have some kind of a competencies with you, knowledge within the organization, your culture within the organization. So you look at whether your competency can be duplicated by your competitor. If so, it's a threshold. කොයි වෙලේ ගැස්සිලායිද දන්නේ නැහැ. කොයි වෙලේ ගැස්සිලායිද දන්නේ නැහැ. So it's a threshold competence එකක්. Competitor approach කරපු ගමන් ඒක අපෙන් යනවා. එහෙම competitor approach කරන්න බැරි competency level එකක් තියෙනවා නම් patent rights අපිට තියෙනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්, special skills වෙන්න පුළුවන්, එහෙම නැත්නම් special අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම production capacities වෙන්න පුළුවන්, competencies අපිට තියෙනවා, right? So special delivery net distribution coverage එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් අපිට තියෙන competencies. So if your competitor cannot do it, so we identified them as the core competencies, the unique. As an organization, we are looking for these two, my dear friends. මොකද මේවා threshold වැට උඩ තියෙනවා computer ගහපු ගමන් අපි සුම්මා. So අපිට පුළුවන් තරම් හොයාගන්න අපිට මෙන්න මේ වගේ competencies තියෙනවද? Core competencies, unique resources තියනවාද? එහෙනම් we can survive. So your audit should be able to identify this. මේවා නැත්තම් හොයාගන්න බෑ. It's a different concern. එහෙනම් මේවා නම් අපිට තියෙන පුළුවන් තරම් ඒවා unique resources, core competencies වලට හරව ගන්න strategies ගහන්න ඕනේ. පැහැදිලිද? Hamel and Prahalab introduced this in 1991. මේක Hamel and Prahalab නම දාලා නැහැ. Right, okay, anyway මේක LMS එකට අප්ලෝඩ් වෙනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඒ නම එනවා, don't worry. So it is there in so මේක අපි කියන්නේ පුළුවන් තරම් මෙන්න මේ competency levels identify කරගන්න ඕනේ. Any question, another model. Co-competency analysis කියලා කියන්නේ මේකම තමයි RBV model එක කියලා කියන්නේ. RBV කියලා කියන්නේ resource based view කියන එක. RBV model එක කියලා කියන්නේ resource based view කියන එක. මේකම expansion එකක් තමයි අපි මේ මෙතන VRIO කියන්නේ. අපි ඒක කරමු. So any question on this? මේ මොඩල් එක කවුරු හරි කලින් කතා කරලා තියෙන කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද? බලලා මේ මොකක් හරි ඕගොල්ලෝගේ සෙෂන් එකක කතා කරපු එක්කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද මේ මොඩල් එක? RBV මොඩල් එක, co competency මොඩල් එක. Guys, these are deep analytic tools. මේවා තමයි deep analytic tools කියලා කියන්නේ. Anyone who have done this model before? Okay, cool. So I'm taking you all on another one. The continuation of some RBV model. Further analysis එකකට යනවා RBV. අපිට තියෙන resources and the competencies. Now we identified unique resources and co-competencies. Unique resources, co-competencies. එහෙනම් unique resources, co-competencies අපි මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? Unique resources, co-competencies අපි අරගෙන අපි බලනවා further analysis එකකට අපි මේක ගෙනියනවා. Further analysis එකකට අපි ගෙනියනවා. All right? So we look at, we have a unique resource. මේ unique resource එක අපි analyze කරනවා variables 4ක් යටතේ. Listen na, මේවා අමාරුයි කියලා හිතන්න එපා. Okay? මේවා දන්නේ නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැ strategic management diploma එකක් කළා. හරි? මේවා දන්නේ නැත්නම් strategic management කියලා කියන්න බෑ ඔය diplomas වලට මේවා කරන්න නැත්නම්. ඒකයි කියන්නේ. So මෙන්න මේ unique resource එක අපි analyze කරනවා variables 4ක් පාවිච්චි කරලා. Right? Variables 4ක් පාවිච්චි කරලා මේ unique resource එක අපි analyze කරනවා. Analyze කරලා අපි බලනවා අපි ඉන්නේ හරියටම කොතනද කියන එක. Now let's say as an example you have a unique resource එකක් අපි හිතමු packaging factory එකක් තියෙනවා ඕගලන්ට. Right? You're in a confectionery manufacturing industry and package printing manufacturing plant also you have. And other company now you're auditing whether the other company, your competitor, is having this. Is it valuable for you? Yeah, it is valuable because your confectionery products need packaging. But I mean, you always, if you don't have it, you have to outsource it. So it is valuable because it is inside your factory. You have a packaging plant also. So it's a valuable resource. It's a valuable resource. But, and is it a rare resource? Can our competitor, I mean, packaging කියලා කියන්නේ packaging plant එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ rare resource එකක් නෙමෙයි. Rare resource එකක් නෙමෙයි. So if a good investment is there, competitor can bring. Is it an inimitable one? Inimitable කියලා කියන්නේ imitate කරන්න බැරිද? No, imitate කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් අපිට ඒක imitate කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක වැඩක් තියනවාද? But let's say as an example, the industry you are in, your competitors can't do that. Your competitors can't do that. It's a rare resource in your sector as an example. And your competitors can't invest because it's a huge investment. Your competitor is not financially strong in it. But you're not effectively utilizing it. උදාහරණයක් මම මේ කියන්නේ. ඔයා ඒක හරියට organize කරලා කරන්නේ නැහැ. Packaging plant එක හරියට organize කරලා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඔහේ packaging design කර කර ගහලා දානවා. එච්චර හොඳ plant එකක් තියලා ඒව utilize කරන්නේ නැහැ. Now look at this. මෙන්න මේ model එක පල්ලෙහා තියෙන model එකට ගියාම ඔයාට හොඳ resource එකක්, it's a valuable resource. right? It's a valuable resource. මම මේක level එකෙන්ම ගත්තොත් මේක valuable resource එකක්. Right? Look at this. Valuable resource එකක්. And it's very rare resource. Although in the industry it's very rare resource. And your I mean competitor cannot imitate. Inimitable කියන්නේ copy කරන්න බෑ කියන එක. Imitate කරන්න බෑ කියන එක, right? Imitable කියන්නේ copy කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක. Inimitable. Your competitor cannot copy. Difficult to imitate. Competitor cannot copy. But you don't utilize that. ඒ තියෙන එච්චර හොඳ තියෙන එකකින් වැඩ ගන්න. Unused competitive advantage එකක් නේ. Unused competitive advantage එකක්. මේක use කරන්නේ නැති competitive advantage එකක් නේ. Right? Use කරන්නේ නැති competitive advantage. දැන් බලන්න ලංකාවේ, right, as an example if we take okay solar, it's a valuable resource. Country එකක් විදිහට ගන්නවා. Valuable resource එකක්. හරිද? Is it rare? No, it's not rare. It's not rare. Right? But it's valuable. Right? It's valuable. ඒ කියන්නේ ලෝකෙත් එක්ක ගත්තාම අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් සමහර රටවල් වලට ඉර පායන්නෙත් මේ හොරටනේ සමහර රටවල් වලට ලංකාවට වගේ ඉර අපි ඒ විදිහට ගත්තොත් we are closer to equator සමයකට ආසන්න රටක් විදිහට throughout the year you get sunlight, right? එහෙම බැලුවොත් අපිට ඒක රෙයා කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක රෙයා කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්, right? එහෙම බැලුවොත්, right, අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් අනිත් රටවල් වලට ගොඩක් රටවල් වලට සමහර රටවල් වලට මේක කොපි කරන්න බැහැයි කියලා ඉවරලා. Inimitable කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. Difficult to copy කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. But ලංකාව මේක use කරනවද හරියට? ලංකාව මේක use කරනවද හරියට? නෑ. ලංකාවේ මේ electricity board එකේ ඉන්නේ උන්ගේ job නැති වෙනවායි කියලා ඉවරලා solar ගේන්න දෙන්නේ නෑ ලංකාවට. අපේ electricity board එකේ ඉන්න engineers ලගේ your people might be there, right? ලෝකෙම ඉන්න electrical engineers the consultants in that particular sector, they try to generate electricity using sea waves. They try to renewable energies. Okay, sea wave මුහුදුරැල්ලෙන් electricity එක හදන්න try කරනවා. එතකොට හුළඟින් විදුලිය හදන්න try කරනවා. මේ පාර මැද්දේ turbine cycle ඉවරලා වාහනවල එහාට මෙහාට යනකොට turbine එක කරකොල current එක ගන්න try කරනවා. එතකොට solar current එක ගන්න try කරනවා. ඒ එක එක විදියට current එක ගන්න try කරනවා. අපේ ගොබ්බියෝ ටික මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? ගිහිල්ලා බෝධි පූජා තියෙනවා. අපේ ගොබ්බියෝ ටික ගිහිල්ලා දේවාල වලට පූජා තියෙනවා වැස්ස වහින්නේ කියලා. ඔන්න ලංකාවේ තියෙන electricity board එකේ තත්ත්වය, right? Yeah. Sorry to tell you, so unused competitive advantages are lot here. But what to do? අපිත් බිල ගෙව ඉන්නවා තාම. Yes, Mohan, you have raised your hand. Mohan, you have raised your hand.
Sorry, sir, I am a small mistake.
Right, okay, no worries. මට ඇත්තටම මේ අර මේ මැසේජ් එක දැක්කාම hina ගියා කියලා කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ ඉලෙක්ට්‍රිසිටි බෝඩ් එකේ ඉන්න ඉන්ජිනියර්ස්ලා ගිහිල්ලිවලා කොහේදෝ දේවාලයකට පූජාවක් තියෙනවා වහින්නේ කියලා. බලන්න කොච්චර ගොබ්බයක් කුටිකක්ද ලංකාවේ ඉන්නේ කියලා. right? සෝලා ගේන්න දෙන්නේ නැති හේතුව තමයි උන්ගේ ජොබ්ස් වලට කෙලවෙනවායි කියලා. මේක තමයි රියැලිටි එක ලංකාවේ තියෙන. අඩුම ගානේ දැන්වත් මේ වෙලාවෙවත් හැදුනොත් අපි මාර වාසනාවන්තයි. එහෙම නැති වුනොත් විනාශයි අපි. right. Okay. දැන් මේ අපි ඒවා use කරොත් අපිට long term sustainability එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් ලංකාවේ. right? අපි බලන්න ඕනේ අපිට තියෙන resources මොනවද කියලා. මෙන්න මේ diagram එකට දාලා අපිට තියෙන resources core competencies අපි බලන්න ඕනේ. මේක competitive disadvantage. අපිට resource එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක valuable නැත්නම් it's not a competitive advantage. It's a competitive disadvantage. අපිට resource එකක් තියෙන එක අපිට resource එකක් වුණාට ඒක වැඩක් නැහැ. It's a competitive disadvantage. අපිට resource එකක් තියෙනවා ඒක rare නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ competitor ගාවක් තියෙනවා අපි ගාවක් තියෙනවා. We also have our competitor also have the same resource, which means you are in par with the competitor. Parity. You are in par with the competitor. Competitor parity. And you have a resource, it's rare, but it's not difficult. Competitor can. It's rare. I mean, in this country, it's rare, but competitor can easily invest. So until your competitor comes up, you have a temporary advantage, temporary competitive advantage. It's a threshold resource or threshold competency. කියලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේවා temporary. කොයි වෙලේ ගැස්සිලා ඉදන්නේ නැහැ. competitor invest කරපු ගමන්, right? You're in par with the competitor. Right? එතකොට competitor parity එකක් වෙලා ඉවරයි. So you have a resource, it's valuable and it's rare and it's difficult to imitate, but you're not using it. ලංකාවේ වගේ, right? So you're not using it. So which means what? Unused competitive advantage. Unused competitive advantage. So අපි value additions කරන්න නැන්නේ ලංකාවෙන් export කරන ගොඩකට. Rare resources තියෙනවා, imitate කරන්න අමාරු resources තියෙනවා, right? මූදෙන් ගන්න අර black sand එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? ලංකාවෙන් එළියට ගිහිල්ලා එළියේ තියෙන company එක විකුණන්නේ 10 times better. ලංකාවේ මේගොල්ලෝගේ shares තියෙන companies තමයි. So see, unused competitive advantage, right? අපි use කරන්නේ, අපි ඒක organize කරන්නේ නැහැ හරියට. Value additions නැහැ අපේ. Raw එළියට දානවා. Raw product එක එළියට දානවා. So these things are there. So temporary competitive advantages or unused competitive advantages. So if we have all four, if we identified either unique resource or a core competency with all these four, valuable, so valuable and very difficult, it's rare and difficult to imitate, copy karanna lazy naha, and you're using it effectively, then we identified as sustainable competitive advantage, or else we call it long-term competitive advantage. Sustainable competitive advantage කියලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙනවා CA, right? එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි ඕකටම කියන තවත් වචනයක් තමයි long-term competitive advantage කියන එක. ඒතර VRIO model එක. මේ VRIO model කියලා මේකට දාලා තියෙන්නේ valuable, rare, inimitable, organized කියන අකුරු හතර තමයි VRIO model එක කියලා මෙතන දාලා තියෙන්නේ. So guys, this is the extension of the core competency model by Hamel and Prahalab. This is the extension, ඒ කියන්නේ expansion එකක් මෙතන තියෙන්නේ. අපි further analysis එකක් කරලා අපි බලනවා මේක තව break up කරලා කොතනද අපි ඉන්නේ කියන එක. Any question? Anyone is having any question? Anyone is having any question? තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් අහන්න. මේ හැම මොඩල් එකක්ම ටෙස්ට් වෙනවා එක්සෑම් එකට. Any question? Anyone is having any questions? මෙතන මේ ඕගොල්ලෝ ඇත්තටම තේරිලාද මේ ඉන්නේ සද්ද නැතුව? නිලන්ත 706, are you clear? නිලන්ත?
Yes, sir.
නිලන්ත කොහෙද work කරන්නේ?
Mark convenient goods, sir.
Okay, convenient food, ne? Right, good. That, anything? Anyone not clear? JMPL Bandar. මේ නම දැක්කේ මේ මම හිතන්නේ මේ දැක්කමද කොහෙද? JMPL Bandar. Who is this JMPL Bandar? නැවති කෙනෙක්ගේ නමක් වගේ. JMPL Bandar, are you there? JMPL Bandar, are you there? Bandar, are you there? Bandar? JMPL Bandar, are you there? Okay, James, no. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Anyone is having any questions? No? Oh, yes. No, oh, yes.
So excuse sir.
Yes, go ahead. Who is this?
Jerome here.
Yeah,
Can you kindly explain this competitive disadvantage and competitive equality and
Equity. Right.
equity and party?
Okay. Competitive disadvantage when you look at, right? Now, right. Now, see, when you look at this, හරිද? අපිට අපිට resources නැහැ. අපිට valuable resource එකක් නැහැ. right? අපිට ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ compete කරන්න resource එකක් නැහැ. අපිට ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ compete කරන්න core competency එකක් නැහැ. එතකොට අපිට advantage එකක් කියලා පෙන්වන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. අපිට valuable resource එකක්වත් valuable competency එකක්වත් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ competitively අපිට advantage එකක් නැහැ. We don't have an advantage. Competitively, we don't have an advantage. So that is why we call it as a competitive disadvantage. I will take an example, right? I will take an example, right? Jerome, you are from which industry? You said?
Construction
Yeah.
industry, sir.
Okay. Right. Okay. We'll take construction industry. As an example, okay, you're a newcomer to the construction industry, as an example, okay? And what do? You're surviving with other companies, right? And what do? You try to take the project and outsource everything and get things done. So you don't have any resource within. And even a tiny worker, I mean, even a tiny tool, I'm just taking hypothetical example. Let's say as example, forget about excavators and things. So even a very basic tool or the machine, you have to outsource. And what will happen because of that? You will have to incur so much of pressure to get things done on time because you don't have resources. And all your competitors, let's say as an example, all the other construction companies are fully fledged companies. They have everything, right? MEP team is inside, the civil team is inside, the mechanical team is inside, so everybody, the project team is inside, the electrical team is inside, everybody inside the organization, and they have huge labor. But your company don't have any of these things, and you try to outsource everything and get the job done, and because of this, you most of the cases you have to face issues. So you don't have any resource to compete with the other companies. No any valuable resources to compete. But let's say as an example, on the other hand, right, most of the companies don't have piling machine, and your company is having a piling machine, and you can get even a 10-story building because you have the piling machine. I'm just taking a hypothetical example. Okay, there are enough and more the companies, those who, not enough and more, there are companies who basically renting those piling machines. But let's say as example, right, your company is having a piling machine, and your company is having excavators, your company is having elevators, everything, and your competitors do not have that much, which means you have some valuable resources. You have some valuable resource. Yes, you have valuable resource, but is it rare? It's not rare because it is already available in the market. With other suppliers, it is already available, and even your competitor can rent the same the piling machine or excavator or the elevator. They can rent and do it. So it is a competitive equity in that case. It is, you have it, but it's not rare. It's not rare because your competitor can job එක තියෙන වෙලාවට එහෙම නැත්නම් competitor පුළුවන් project එකට invest කරලා ඉවරලා then they can get things done. So which means what? Competitive equity. Your competitor is also having, it's not rare. You also have, your competitor is also having the same thing. It's not rare, which means you are in par with your competitor. But the previous one, you don't have an advantage because your competitors are far better than you. Your values are not real values to bring some kind of a competitive advantage, comparative advantage. So those are the differences here. Clear?
Clear, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Any more questions, guys? Anyone? Anyone?
So Excuse
Yes.
Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence.
අපි මොකක් හරි කම්පැනි කන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් කම්පැනි එක ස්ටාෆ් එකේ කවුරු හරි ඒ කියන්නේ බෙස් සේල්ස් පර්සන් කවුරු හරි බෙස් ඉන්ජිනියර් හරි කෙනෙක්ව තව කම්පැනි එකට රෙක්රූට් කරලා ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒක කම්පිටිටිව් ඇඩ්වාන්ටේජ් එකක් වෙනවද ඒ ගත්ත කම්පැනිට ඒක නැත්නම් ප්‍රොඩක්ට් වයිස් විතරද මේක කතා වෙන්නේ
මෙතන අපි කතා කරන්නේ product wise නෙමෙයි competencies. Let's say the core competencies. Now let's say as example සමහර architect ලා ඉන්නවා සමහර electrical engineers ලා ඉන්නවා ඒගොල්ලෝ companies වලට වැඩ කරනවා ඒගොල්ලෝගේ consultancy office නේ. One of the best consultants but they are at the consultant level. Chartered engineer, let's say as an example, the chartered electrical engineer, he can design any sort of electrical drawing, he can design any sort of electrical consultancy he can do, right? It can be a high-rise building, it can be a factory, it can be some sort of a, let's say, whatever you name it, the way. And he's working in that particular company and he's highly paid engineer, right? But he because of his core competency, right? It is a core competency within the organization, right? It's very difficult to imitate, but and he's paid, let's say as example, 2 million package from the company. And you identified, your computer identified, right? Your computer identified. I will tell the true scenario also. Taking that person might convert most of the project to our side and can reduce the cost. Otherwise, we will have to outsource electrical consultants. Your competitor hire him paying about 4 million as an example. උනෝගෙන් එන 2 million දෙන එකට 4 million දෙනවා කියලා කොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් යනවානේ, right? So I mean I'm just saying අනිවාර්යෙන් යනවා කියලා කියන ගොඩක් වෙලාවට most probably he might take no. So it is what it's valuable, it's rare, but it's not difficult to imitate. Computer headhunt කරලා ගත්ත ගමන් එතකොට එයා headhunt කරලා ගන්න තාක්කල් temporary competitive advantage එකක්. එතකොට ඒව නවත්තන්න තමයි employee contracts තියෙනවා, employee agreements තියෙනවා, certain terms and conditions දාපු දේවල් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ company එකෙන් අයින් වෙනවා නම් මේ හා parallel company එකක යම් කිසි කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් යනකම් වැඩ කරන්න බෑ. You can't work in a somewhat similar organization or the competing organization කියලා terms and conditions තියෙනවා. So ඒව දාලා සමහර ලාවට block කරන වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා. But end of the day it's a temporary competitive advantage. පැහැදිලිද?
Yes sir.
Okay, I'll tell one of the example. I don't want to mention the company once again, right? One of the companies in southern region who are exporting, especially the cinnamon, one of the top 13 companies in the country. And when I was having a chat with the owner, and he said, okay, and he was a very small scale gentleman, and now he is one of the top 13 cinnamon exporters in the country. And I was asking, okay, how did you get all the clients with you? Because he was from southern region and he was not exposed much. Of course, the son of the business owner was studying outside the country. I think USA or UK. I'm not quite sure what is the country. But then again, I was asking him, okay, how did you get all these client contacts? And he was saying, right, he was, paying double and recruiting one of the person from Colombo, the top company who is exporting cinnamon. And that guy had come with the entire customer base, and this person is now, one of the best exporter in cinnamon. I don't want to mention the company name anyway, but it happens like that. It happens like that, right? It's a true scenario. Clear? Who was asking that question, by the way?
Clarence is.
Yeah, Clarence. Clear the Clarence. So it's a temporary competitive advantage. I mean, you got to identify the resource pattern and the competency pattern, then only you can see. Right. Moving on, and right. The next model, the Porter's value chain. You look at how you generate value for the business. How you generate value for the business. Okay, Porter's value chain. Now this model is talking about two different type of activity levels. One is the primary activity. One is we identified as the primary activities, and the other one we identified as the supporting activities, right? So, or else primary activities, sometimes we call it the frontline activities, right? But the right word is the primary activity, and the second one is the supporting activity. The people call it as the back-end activity, but this considered as supporting activity, right? Now, Michael Porter identified the entire operation categorized into two activity layers, namely the primary and the supporting. If you are to give energy to the entire primary activities, you need to make sure your supporting activities are pretty strong. Then combination of these two will add the final value of the product and the service you market. With that, only you can think about your profitability of the organization when you are selling the product to the final customer. Customers la, right? Customers. So මෙන්න මේ customers ලට මේ product එක විකුණන්න, right? මේ customers ලට මෙන්න මේ product එක විකුණන්න may primary activities as well as the supporting activities are needed. And when you effectively manage supporting activities and primary activities and make your product pretty stronger, you can charge high margins and sell the products to the customer. But let's say, as example, if you are weaker in supporting activities, and if you are weaker, and if you are not producing a good product, and if you don't have proper services, if you don't have proper logistic operation mechanism, then you can't charge more from the customer. So based on your entire value module, you identify, you can think of how you can charge your customer, how values, what type of values you can bring into the target market and the target audience, who call the customers and the consumers here. Now see the primary activities. First, look at the primary activities, what you can see. Harima lazy make a primary activities what? So inbound logistic, which means what? From suppliers we get items. Let's say I will take hypothetical example, the raw material. Okay, I'll take garment as a raw material. Okay, fabric, not the garment, fabric. So what do we do? Inbound logistic, the fabric comes into the warehouse, right? Inbound logistic. Okay, so you got to manage it effectively. You get high quality fabric and the right time you delivered and everything you need to manage. Who is doing it? Procurement is doing it. Procurement is doing it. And who will invest for it? Procurement, finance, everything is there, right? The method of technology, method of human resource management, method of procurement and finance, right? Firms infrastructure, financial infrastructure. So they invest and bring the high quality materials and inbound logistic. When the materials are coming, then what do? You start sewing the garment, start manufacturing the garment. Then whatever the finished garment, you send it to the outbound logistic, another warehouse. Samanen me raw material, finished goods, එකම තැන තියාගන්න නෙමෙයි physically එකම store එක දෙකට කලලි වල තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. I'm not saying like that, but you have separate logistic operation for that. Raw material, you manufacture, okay, you bring fabric, you convert the fabric into a garment, and garment send it to the outbound logistic part. Let's say as an example, company like Emerald, okay, in local context, they buy fabric. Japanese fabric කියලානේ කියන්නේ මහත්යා මහත්මයෙක් කරයි කියලා කියන්නේ, right? So men versus gentlemen කියලා කියන්නේ. So let's say they import raw material and they make shirts, right? That is operation. They make shirts and they send those shirts into the outbound logistic, which means another warehouse. And what happen after that? Sales and marketing people, right? They start promoting the product, they price it, they start promoting the product, they go and distribute in the fashion outlets, they go and distribute in different retail fashion stores and sell the product. And of course, you don't have a after sale service kind of a thing. But let's say as an example, if they give some kind of a value added services, Like Ebony is doing this, and Ebony is having their own team in different fashion outlets. Now, let's say as example, Ebony's team is there in Cool Planet. Ebony's team is there in No Limit. Ebony's team is there in here and there. They have their own employees to manage their own counter, right? So like that, additional service they give, and with that they sell their product to the customer. And these are the primary activities. Material එනවා. අපි material පැත්තකින් දාමු. අපි inbound logistic කරනවා finished goods, right? ඒවා ගානට sort කරලා arrange කරලා outbound එකට ready කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ විකුණන තත්ත්වයට ready කරනවා. ready කරලා ඉවල මොකද කරන්නේ? sales and marketing කරලා campaign run කරලා promote කරලා product එක විකුණනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද කරන්නේ? service whatever after sales service තියෙනවා නම් එහෙමයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් value added services අපි දෙනවා client. So these are primary activities. So to give energy for primary activities, there are a set of supporting activities we have, and firm's infrastructure, your finance, legal, planning and management, and all this infrastructure, your firm's infrastructure, whatever the things you have. So මේවා අපිට resources, මේ resources we need to manage. අපි හිතමු උදාහරණයක් විදිහට market එකේ ඉල්ලන වෙලාවට බඩු දෙන්න organization එකට සල්ලි හොයාගන්න බැර නම්, which means you are financially you're failed. Right? Human resource, no proper people, no proper recruitment, no proper training and development, no proper performance evaluation, performance appraisals, mukut naha, මිනිස්සු demotivate. Then what will happen? So you will not be able to get maximum out of the people, those who are working. Technology, no technology infrastructure, right? Old technology, and people need to, get the bill and come into the warehouse to get the delivery done. No? So let's say as example, company decided to go on a SFA, Salesforce automation system, where the sales people from the shop level, they place the order, then it goes to the warehouse and warehouse people deliver. And once they deliver, automatically the order get completes and the system run like that. So the technology infrastructure, they manage in a way where you talk about adding values to this. So they manage the technology to make this primary activities comfortable. The procurement, I don't have to tell what is procurement, the purchasing approach, right? Inventory control, purchasing, warehouse management, logistic, transportation. So you manage all these things. So these are the activities that gives energy for the for what you call the primary activities. So this we identified as the value chain. Value chain actually by Michael Porter, one of the marketing gurus in the world, the top rated gurus in the world. So he identified this. Any question? Anyone is having any question? Someone is raising hand. Give me 1 minute. Okay, then Mohan Mataman. Are any questions? Anyone is having any question? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Guys, hurry up. Right. No questions. Mama hitanawa තේරිලයි කියලා no questions කියලා ගන්නවා. Another model, analyze the company's product portfolio. මේකට අපි කියනවා portfolio metrics එක කියලා, portfolio analysis එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් portfolio metrics එක කියලා කියනවා for this metrics. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා BCG metrics කියලා. BCG කියලා කියන්නේ Boston Consultancy Group metrics කියලා කියනවා. BCG metrics කියලා කියනවා. Boston Consultancy Group metrics කියලා කියනවා. Yeah, those two. එහෙම නැත්නම් තව එකක් කියනවා. Growth share matrix. You call it growth share matrix. Right? Growth share matrix කියලා කියනවා. එතකොට මේ නම් දෙක තුනම පාවිච්චි කරනවා matrix. Matrix, okay. Growth share matrix වෙන්න පුළුවන්, portfolio matrix වෙන්න පුළුවන්, BCG matrix වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Why we call it as a BCG matrix? Because it is introduced by the company called Boston Consultancy Group, Boston Consulting Group. So that is why we call it as BCG matrix, this model. So what do we do with this model? What do we do with this model? We identify our product portfolio, the products what we sell. We categorize our product portfolio by looking at two parameters. One is the growth rate. Growth එක නෙමෙයි, growth rate එක. Growth එකයි growth rate එකයි අතර ලොකු වෙනසක් තියෙනවා guys. You need to remember that. එතකොට අනිත් එක තමයි relative market share කියන එක. එතකොට relative market share එකයි market share එකයි අතර ලොකු වෙනසකුත් තියෙනවා. So you got to identify that. එතකොට growth rate එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම එතකොට අපි හිතමු උදාහරණයක් විදිහට growth rate එක කියලා කිව්වහම මාස කීපයක අපි figures ගත්තාම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට identify කරගන්න පුළුවන් සමහර products වල growth එක වැඩි වෙනවා. සමහර products වල growth එක අඩු වෙනවා. සමහර products වල growth එක නෑ stagnant තියෙනවා. right? growth rate එක period එකක් ඇතුළත volume එක increase වෙනවා නම් movement එක volume movement, if the volume movement is increasing in a given period, which means the growth rate is increasing. මේකට mathematically කියනවා මේ graph එකේ තියෙන tan value එක කියලා. නමුත් ඒ level එකට යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒ level ඒ මට්ටමට යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ grade 10 වගේ ත්‍රිකෝණමිතිය පාඩමේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා sin cos tan කියන එකේ tan figure එක අපි ගත්තොත් graph එකක් ඇඳලා ඒ graph එකේ tan value එක ගත්තොත් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මෙන්න මේක ඒ pattern මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙන දේ අනුව. Okay, let me see whether I can take a graph curve line එක ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා බලමු. Right. මම දන්නේ නැහැ මේකේ curve line එක කොයි පැත්තට යනවද කියලා. Okay. අපිට බැරිද මේ curve line එක මේ පැත්තට හරවන්න? Okay. හරි. අපි හිතමු මේක මෙහෙම තියෙනවායි කියලා. Oops, sorry. Let's say as an example, right? Pencil tool එකක් නැද්ද? Could have taken the wrong ones. Right? Okay. අපි හිතමු මෙහෙම. right? තියෙනවා. හිතමු මෙහෙම තියෙනවායි කියලා. මේකෙදි දැන් අපි බලනවා මේ පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුළත කොච්චර right මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. right? අපි බලනවා මේ පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුලේ move වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි. Look at this guys. මේ පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුලේ move වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි. right? මේ පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුලේ move වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි. rate of sale එක මේ පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුලේ move වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි. නමුත් I mean when we break into the equal time interval එකම time interval වලට අපි කැඩුවාම මෙන්න මෙතනින් එහාට ගත්තාම rate of sale එක වැඩි වෙනවා. rate of sale is increasing. දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේක x axis එක ගත්තොත් අපි time එක කියලා, y axis එක අපි volume එක විදියට ගත්තොත්, volume movement එක විදියට ගත්තොත් y axis එක right? එතකොට මෙතනදී අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් මේ time එකේදී මේ time period එකේදී volume movement එක අඩුයි. හැබැයි මෙතනින් එහාට ගත්තාම එක පාටම steep growth එකකට එනවා. ඊළඟ rate of sale එක කියලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේක. I mean how the product moves in a particular time period. How the product moves in a particular time period. මේක measure කරන්නේ මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙන value එක අපි අරගන්නවා. මෙන්න මේ curve එකේ තියෙන value එක අපි අරගන්නවා. ඒක අරගෙන තමයි අපි මේක measure කරන්නේ. right? ඒකට තමයි මම කිව්වේ tangent value එක ගන්නවායි කියලා. ඒක ගැන එච්චර හිතන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. But generally look at the curve and get an idea, right? So මෙන්න මේ මෙතනදී rate එක වැඩි වෙනවා. tangent කියලා කියන්නේ ඉතින් ලොකු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. right? If you can recall your memory, sin cos tan කියන එක grade 10 වල mathematics වල තිබ්බ. sin කියලා කියන්නේ සම්මුඛ පාදයේ බෙදීම බද්ධ පාදය, cos කියලා කියන්නේ බද්ධ පාදයේ සම්මුඛ පාදයේ බෙදීම කාරණය. right? ත්‍රිකෝණයක් ගත්තාම මතක ඇතිනේ. එතකොට cos කියලා කියන්නේ බද්ධ පාදයේ බෙදීම කර්මය. එහෙනම් කර්මය නෙමේ කර්ණය. tan කියලා කියන්නේ සම්මුඛ පාදයේ බෙදීම බද්ධ පාදය. ඉතින් ඔය tan value එක ගත්තාම ත්‍රිකෝණය design කළා මෙතන අපිට එනවා අපිට ඕන කරන growth rate එක calculate කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන් curve එක හරහා. right? මම ඕගොල්ලන්ට කිව්වේ නැත්තම් මම tan ගන්නවා මොකද්ද කියලා ඕගොල්ලන් බලයි මොකද්ද කියලා ඉවරලා. එතකොට ඒ අනුව තමයි අපි tan value එක design කරලා ගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට මෙතනදී growth rate එක බලා ගන්නවා නම් අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? මෙතනට අපි curve එකක් හඳිනවා. straight line එකක් හදලා මෙන්න මේකේ මේ curve එකට අදාළ tan value එක අරගන්නවා. කොහොම තමයි අපි කරන්නේ. So I mean දැනගෙන ඉන්න මොකද්ද මේක වෙන්නේ කියන එක right කරන විදියක් පුළුවන් නම් ඉගෙන ගන්න that is good for you. So growth rate එක වැඩි වෙනවයි කියන එක තමයි අපි බලන්නේ. ඒතර growth rate එකයි කියලා කියන්නේ දෙකක් කියන එක මතක තියාගන්න. Because if you think it as same it is not completely wrong. And the other one the relative market share. Market share නෙමෙයි relative market share. Relative market share එකක් කියලා කියපු ගමන් ඒ කියන්නේ යම් කිසි එකක් එක්ක රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එකක් මෙතන හම්බ වෙනවා. relative market share එකක මොකකට හරි against market share එකක් කියන එක තමයි relative market share කියන එක තමයි මෙතනදී අපි කතා කරන්නේ. relative to what? relative to your competitor කියලා තමයි අපි මෙතනදී ගන්න පුළුවන්. So see අපි ගත්තොත් එම market growth rate there can be products with low market growth rate but high relative market share. Those are your cash cows. Compared to your industry competitors, you all have a better market share. Habai growth rate එක අඩුයි. Growth rate එක අඩුයි. If you all can remember the product life cycle, the bell-shaped curve, it's not actually the bell-shaped curve. මෙන්න මේකම product life cycle එක අපි continue කරොත් එහෙම මේ product life cycle එකේ එක path එකක් එනවා මෙන්න මෙතනින් මේ අතට maturity stage එක කියලා අපි එතනදී කියනවා. ඒතර maturity stage එකට ආවට පස්සේ ඒ කියන්නේ you have a bigger market share but growth rate එක අඩුයි. growth rate එක අඩුයි. So that is what we said the growth rate is low but you have a bigger market share. So those are cash cows. Those are the products that generate revenue to the organization, the cash cows. මේවා තියෙනවයි කියලා කියන අපිට ඇත්තටම සෑහෙන වටින organization එකේ survival එකට. Cash cows. Then the other one, there are certain products actually you have a high growth rate and at the same time high relative market share. These may be your new products. Growth rate එකත් වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම if nobody is there in the industry and you have a high relative market share for your product. But these products are not long-term surviving product because I mean this might be okay until you have the patent right. Until you have certain values, until your competitor enter into the industry, it will be there. So the period depending on the industry and the time where your competitor and other things are changing in the macros and the micros. So these products we identified as the star-rated products. Star-rated products. මේවා ගොඩක් කල් තියෙනවා නම් සෑහෙන හොඳයි because those are having high growth rate and high market share. And there are certain products in your organization you don't have a growth rate and you don't have a market share also. We call it as dogs. I don't know why they have used this word. මේ ඒ product එක බල්ලට ගියා වගේ මේ අහිංසක සතාගේ නම දාලි වල මේක කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? So we identify these type of products as dogs. Right? So and these products are of no use and still I don't know unused ඒ කියන්නේ වැඩක් නැති product එකකට මේ වැඩක් තියෙන සතෙක්ගේ නමක් දැම්මේ මොකද්ද කියන එක මම දන්නේ නැහැ. But generally these products sometimes might discontinue from the business since the growth rate is also not there, since the cash generation is also not there. Company might even discontinue these products and them we identified as what do you call dogs. And we have another product category, bit of a question mark, which means you have a high growth rate, but the cash generation is very low. High growth rate and the cash generation is very low. So you got to identify why it might be like that, which means the market share is low, but the growth rate is high. So these also can be sometimes new products, or else the products for you is new but not for the market. When the product is not new for the market, growth rate will be there, but market is already saturated with the similar product. So your market share may be low compared to the other. But for your company, the growth rate is increasing, but you don't have a market share. So you got to identify what type of products in your portfolio and categorize like this. Then you can get an idea, okay, what is the strategy I can bring into star? What is the strategy I can bring into question mark? What is the strategy I can bring into those category products? What is the strategy I can bring into cash cows? So this is categorizing your company product portfolio and identify how you can utilize your entire product portfolio effectively, designing your strategy. Sometimes it is an opportunity if you have more and more cash cows. It is an opportunity if you have more and more stars. It is a threat if you have more and more dogs, and it is a threat if you have more and more question marks without any answers. So you got to have a clear idea about this. So here also you can see opportunities and threats when you analyze your portfolio, and from the external point of view. But this is, since this is an internal matrix, we see when you have the more and more cash cows, it is a strength. More and more stars, it's a strength. More and more dogs, it's a weakness for the organization, and more question marks also a weakness for the organization. So since it's an internal matrix, more than by looking at the external perspectives, you can look from the internal perspectives and identify strengths, weaknesses. And these can be converted to strengths if you really identify. Otherwise, what will happen? This might jump here. It is a danger. It is in vain, because these products are having a better growth rate. If you don't manage it, it might go into the dogs category very soon. So any question? Is having any? Yes, someone was raising hand.
Yes, Amiranth here.
Yeah.
So sorry, can you repeat that question mark part again? I couldn't get that properly. That part.
Yeah. So the question marks, let's say as an example, now the question marks are, you have what? You have a growth rate. The product is increasing. I mean, from the company's point of view, the product is increasing, but you don't have a better market share. Example, you're introducing a new mobile phone. Is it a new product to the market? No. But for your company, you are growing. ගිය මාසේ එකක් විකුණා, මේ මාසේ 10ක් විකුණා, ඊළඟ මාසේ 500ක් විකුණා, ඊළඟ මාසේ 1000ක් විකුණා. Right? Your company, it's growing, but you don't have a market share. Why? That product is already available in the market. You are look-alike product, no frill product, or me too products. Similar products introduced. So those type of situations you got to identify. So you need to identify unique selling propositions, which means the unique values of your product, and either convert those products into stars or the cash cows. If not, it might move into this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Yes.
No worries. Any more questions? Any more questions? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Yes, Angela.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, other last year lesson එකට අදාළ question එක තියෙන සහන්න.
අපනේ.
Sir, මේ network marketing and affiliate marketing කියන්නේ දෙකම එකක්ද sir මේක?
No. Yes. මේමයි ඔක digital marketing වලට එන subject එකක් last week එක අපි කතා කරේ නෑ මේක.
Network marketing කියන්නේ sir අපි කතා කරන්නේ last week Thursday.
Okay, it's like this. Okay, right. Okay, affiliate marketing අපි කතා කරන්නේ digital marketing වල. එතකොට okay, you can talk about in digital context to a certain extent. Affiliate marketing is somewhat similar to network marketing, but more than that, affiliate marketing කියනවට වඩා viral marketing තමයි network marketing වෙන්නේ digital context එකේ. affiliate marketing වල what we do simply yes we are making other connections to support our product movements through the digital context in affiliate marketing. It is somewhat similar but not 100%. But when I talk about the digital marketing context, the network one, I can say viral marketing. Viral marketing is the much better word. The viral network is getting viral. So you connect with one person and he spread the message. You connect with another person, he spread the message in network marketing. And the same thing is happening in the digital context. උදාහරණයක් විදියට what is that උනේ ගානේ මම ක්‍රීම් විකුණන කම්පැනි එක මොකක්ද? ඔය Fair and Lovely නෙමෙයි what is that company එකෙන් අර මේ මොකද්ද
Oriflame
Oriflame හරිද දැන් මොකද්ද කරන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝගේ network එක expand කරගෙන යනවා it's a network marketing right එතකොට එක්කෙනෙක්ට introduce කරනවා එයාට කියන තව එක්කෙනෙක්ට introduce කරන්න කියලා ඔන්න that is network I'm not talking about pyramid නෙමෙයි unethical pyramid market එක නෙමෙයි මම මේ කතා කරන්නේ that is a network Oriflame is talking about the network strategy and in digital context we can see that as the viral as a communication right as viral as a communication when it comes for network marketing but affiliate marketing also somewhat similar but not 100% into the network you build the connections through the affiliate marketing but not the 100% networking තියෙනවා but more than that is there clear
sir එක පුළුවන් example එකකින් පුළුවන් මේකන affiliate marketing කියන එකත් සර් පුළුවන් ඒකට මටත් තවත් clear වෙයි
yeah so when it comes to the affiliate marketing let's say as an example you create the message and you viral it and through that you generate sales may not be getting let's say as an example directly from the source what you are promoting but through the other one අපි ගත්තොත් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට network marketing ගත්තොත් Oriflame එක අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම දැන් ඔයා කනෙක්ට් කරනවා එක්කෙනෙක්ව එයාගෙන් අපිට සේල් එක එනවා අනිත් එක්කෙනාගෙන් කනෙක්ට් කරනවා එයාගෙන් ඔයා කනෙක්ට් කරන එක්කෙනාට එනවා ඔයාගෙන් අනිත් කනෙක්ට් කරන එක්කෙනාට එනවා එහෙම යන්නේ affiliate marketing is also somewhat similar but you might not get the direct sales from the person whom you are promoting and but they are viraling the message they are communicating this and they connect the network so ඒක කරන්නේ technology එක through that is why we identify I mean ඕක තියෙන ගොඩක්ම digital marketing වල අපි දකිනවා social media campaigns run කරනකොට affiliate marketing තියෙනවා ඒ වගේම yeah mainly the social media campaigns වල තමයි අපි දකින affiliate marketing එක පැහැදිලිද
ඉතින් ගොඩක් සර් viral marketing කියනම තමයි suitable නේ සර් කියන්නේ ගොඩක් ඒක කියන්නේ
ඊට වඩා එහා ගිය එකක් මොකද ඊට වඩා එහා ගිය එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ you have some kind of a bond between those parties also affiliate marketing run කරනකොට you have some kind of a agreement also more than the viraling thing affiliate marketing නිකං කරන්න බෑ you need to have some kind of a communication in the sense some kind of a agreement between parties and do it පැහැදිලිද මොකද දැන් viral එකක් කියලා කිව්වම viral is going or spreading එතකොට එතනදී අපිට කියන්න බෑ මේ එතන ලොකු bond එකක් තියෙනවායි කියලා ඉවරලා clear but affiliate you have some kind of a bond between the parties clear then
clear sir thank you sir thank you
good question anyway right but it is under different subject so that is why we will I don't think we are having a digital marketing topic separately under this, but we do have it in marketing one. Yeah, making it. We do have it in a separate. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා. I will tell you all guys. There is okay if you all really want to study digital marketing කියන context එක, you don't have to do a separate digital marketing diploma in any other place. Facebook is having own thing, LinkedIn is having own thing, YouTube is having own thing, Instagram is having own thing. ඒ platforms වල තියෙන technologies ඉගෙන ගත්තා නම් marketing කියන එකත් එක්ක because you can't do digital marketing without having the marketing knowledge. digital technology and the digital marketing is two different things. So ඒතර digital technology එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒක තමයි ඔය affiliate marketing manage කරන්නේ digital technology එක use කරගෙන. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි SEOs run කරන්නේ, search engine optimizations run කරන්නේ, SEM search engine marketing run කරන්නේ. අපි ඔය digital technology එක use කරගෙන. හැබැයි SEO එකක් කරන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් search engine optimization එකක් කරන්න බෑ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ marketing දන්නේ නැත්තම්. So these the same thing we are running, same thing we are running on a different platform. Same thing. I think Lakshman,
Is that clear now?
yeah, you wanted to ask something, Lakshman. Lakshman neither. Lakshman, you wanted to ask something. Okay, anyone with a Lakshman, you wanted to ask something.
No, sir.
Okay, cool. Right. So any questions? Anyone is having any questions? Anyone? Right. So guys, we now it's 9 o'clock. It's 9:07. So what we will do now, there are some more to cover. මේ ටික ඉවර කරන්න මට දැන් මේවා කරන්න ගියොත් I need at least about 1.5 hours further. මොකද අපිට කරන්න තියෙන modules ටික objectives design කරන එක ඊට පස්සේ අපි මේ කියපු ANSOF matrix ගැන කතා කරන එක strategic direction කතා කරන differentiation model එක කතා කරන එක ඒ ටික අපි කතා කරන්න තියෙනවා. So it takes at least about 1 hour. Not 1 hour, 1.5 hours to do it. So let's look at that part. Okay. All right. Okay. මේ auditing එකට අදාළ tools ටික අපි දැනට ඉවරයි. So let's look at the macroeconomic environment again tomorrow. මෙන්න මේ model එක ආයි කතා කරලා. So we'll move into the objective one. Right? Tomorrow we'll move into the objective one once we complete this area. Macroeconomic environment කතා කරලා ඉවරලා we'll go to the objective and we'll finish it up tomorrow. So any question before I wind up today, close for today? Any question? Anyone is having any question? Anyone? Anyone is having any questions? And guys, complete your assignment soon as possible. And again, from next week, I will not be available for a couple of days. So complete your assignment soon as possible and get, if you all have to get my feedback, send me. And I might not be able to come check from 5th onwards. So before that, you, send me the assignment and get it corrected. Okay. So I think you all have to submit by 10th. ඊට කලින් මට available කරෙක්ට් කරගන්න මේ don't submit this time මොකද time limitation එකත් එක්ක fail වුණොත් මම දැක්ක ගිය පාර results ගිය පාර fail වෙච්ච කට්ටියගේ results release කරා but ඒකෙත් fail වෙච්ච දෙන්නෙක්ද කොයිද හිටියා I don't know bad luck right ඒකෙත් fail වෙච්ච දෙන්නෙක් හිටියා දෙන්නෙක් හරි තුන් දෙනෙක් හරි හිටියා I saw in the group මේ ඉතින් මේ පාර එහෙමත් chance එකක් ගන්න බැරි වෙයි because of the time limitation. So make sure you go and in first time. Don't make it otherwise. Okay, so let's meet up by tomorrow at the same time and complete this chapter and go for the other one on next Sunday. Right? Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Have
right. Okay. Okay. Good night, guys. Then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night, guys.